This is Marquivus Furious Nias, and you're listening to Deeper Than Music Radio.
Deeper than music. The core of you, the fans, the truth is deeper than music. Deeper than music. Simply the truth is the latest, the newest. It's deeper than music. Deeper than music. The core of you, the fans, the truth is deeper than music. Deeper than music. Simply the truth is the latest, the newest. It's deeper than music. Deeper than music.
Deeper Than Music Radio. Behind every great song, there's an even greater story. I like to say what's up to everybody listening to us on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spreaker, Spotify, Cast FM, and iHeartRadio. We have another episode of Deeper Than Music Radio with another great band. And before I introduce one of the members of this band, I like to say that one great thing about music is the universal language. Like you could have somebody, rest in peace, like Michael Jackson, to perform in areas like Bucharest, Russia, Romania, and people not know his music, but know and like the sound. Music is also fluid. Music can be anything from hip hop, pop. It knows no boundaries. So with that being said, we have a band that is, I describe as gothic, androgynous. You've heard their music on a Showtime show. Ladies and gentlemen, we have Matt Namer of the group The FMs here on Deeper Than Music Radio. Matt, how you doing?
Doing great. Thanks so much for having me.
No problem. Thank you for taking the time to be on Deeper Than Music Radio. So My first question that I have for you is the FMs. Can you give us the story behind the name FMs?
Yeah. So the FMs stands for, it's an acronym, and it stands for the female, males, or the femmes, or some other, titles. I just remember that I wasn't allowed to curse on the show. So I didn't say.
No worries.
But anyway, yeah. So it's basically it's an idea around the duality of gender and kind of playing around with that a little bit. My other lead singer in the band identifies as trans. They are female to male trans, or like kind of AFAB, and I'm like assigned female at birth, and I'm also gender fluid. I was assigned male at birth and kind of identify as non-binary. So we kind of thought that was pretty interesting that the two of us were kind of coming at gender from different directions, and kind of themed the band around that. Kind of themed the band around playing with the idea of gender, playing with the idea of the duality of gender, but then kind of crisscrossing it, and just showing that ultimately it's sort of an arbitrary thing.
Okay. I like how you guys took that and made it your own based on your background. So that definitely adds more depth to the FMs, because when I first heard it, I was thinking like FM radio station for some reason. So can you? Yeah,
we'll always get that too. People always think that at first, but I think once you dive into it further, kind of why we did it that way.
Yeah. So, and also I wanted to say, do you remember, like, when did you fall in love with music? Do you remember at what age you decided you wanted to be a musical artist?
Yeah. The big turning point for me personally, I'd say, was around the time I hit high school. I was kind of like went from 8th grade kind of being like more interested in like science and math and sports. And then like the very next year was like interested in like music and literature, like stop being into sports. It's like, I guess when you're that age, your like interests shift pretty rapidly, right, from like year to year.
Yeah.
And I think that for me, I started playing music when I was like 14, and I really, maybe 13, 14, around then, I really immediately took to it and kind of realized that I should have been learning it and playing it like my whole life as a kid. Even it sort of felt that way when I was like 13 and 14.
Yeah.
And really kind of picked it up quickly. And then I think by the time I was 15 even, I really felt very strongly that this was a thing that I wanted to do as my career for the rest of my life. I felt like music was the most important medium as an artist to really get a message out to the masses in an artistic way in this day and age. And that you could be a character in a sense, create a sort of a narrative around yourself as an artist that could really be a good avenue for speaking your inner voice and things that you felt could like help change the planet in a positive way.
Okay. And who are your influences? Who influences you musically?
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's been so many over the years. I think since we're kind of talking about my formative years of music, I'll go back to that that day and age. Mm-hmm. But I would say that like very, very early on, I was listening to a lot of like Doors.
Okay.
And I really got interested in the poetry and vocals and kind of persona of Jim Morrison. Yeah. When I was like 13, I was obsessed with the Doors when I was 13. And then I kind of got really into Pink Floyd and kind of where their how their evolution as a band occurred, and just the richness of their textures and sounds and progressions and emotions that they were pulling out of their music, and their ability to kind of tell a story across an entire album and really create the album itself as a piece of artwork. Yeah. So I got really into them, and then later got sort of a lot more into kind of like 90s rock and like kind of darker music. So when I was like 15, I became completely obsessed with like Nine Inch Nails and Tool. Yeah. Those were definitely like big influences on me. I'd say probably Nine Inch Nails in particular at the time.
Trent Reznor. Yeah.
Yep, Trent Reznor, just like, incredibly brilliant producer. It's like he invented a whole new way of producing music that was totally his own. And also was just kind of a real proper renegade and counter to conservative America at the time in the 90s, in a way that I think I really resonated with. And then kind of Marilyn Manson came out of there, and Trent Reznor was kind of one of his early producers. And I think what Manson represented was a pretty perfect answer to conservative culture in the 90s in a way that I really loved and appreciate still today.
I was going to say with Marilyn Manson, man, he had his own movement. So yeah, he was definitely counter to conservative America at that time. That's a big definite.
Yeah, I mean, some of his lines are just kind of so perfect. It's like they're just, they're very, I mean, it's kind of like a parody though, right? It's almost like he would write these lines that are just basically designed to expose the irony of that whole world. And and write these lines that would kind of just perfectly anger them, and then that he would kind of end up being their punching bag, right? Like everyone's kind of, there's a moment in time where conservative America was blaming Marilyn Manson for Columbine.
Oh yeah,
and like not gun control or like other things in America, and I think it was like almost to the point where it was a joke, really you're going to blame this musician on like all of the country's problems, like it's just like, are you people for real, and so I kind of appreciated that commentary on society, like his ability to really pull commentary on society and really poke fun at society. And yeah, so many other influences. I mean, like today, it's like it's a totally different landscape of people that I'm listening to a lot. Like I really liked Sharon Von Etten's latest album. Ladytron is like pretty cool. Peaches. Those are some great like female led projects. And Vast is like another band that I've been listening to since high school that I like most people have never heard of, but he's like his project has been something that's always been a big influence on me. Really into Trent Mahler, who's a Danish producer, and the Soft Moon, just kind of a really amazing like modern take on industrial music. But yeah, it's so many things. It's like I don't even know where to begin. It's just really the tip of the iceberg in terms of stuff that I'm listening to and being influenced by right now.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you a question since you brought up Pink Floyd, and they made a masterful concept album. In today's new wave of technology and everything is kind of instant popcorn. And what I mean by streaming, people don't necessarily have to buy an album. They can stream a song that they like. Do you think in this era of new technology and music, do you think a concept album could thrive or could be made masterfully like Pink Floyd did?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I think that just that, the internet and the state of music and the ability to produce music so easily, like the technology to create music is almost like surpassed what, like where we can even really like utilize it properly. And so I think that it just kind of has made, it's almost like decentralized music. We think of pop music and we think of other things, but at the end of the day, I think everyone has their own little corner of the musical universe nowadays. And so I think that, a concept album like probably isn't going to be, the number one hit record or something of like 2020, although you never know. But it totally could be something that resonates with a ton of people and just isn't like played in your Duane Reade or your CVS's,
Yeah. So what I want to do is I want to play.
Duane Reade is, by the way, the pharmacy that we have.
Oh, okay.
Good.
I wanted to.
I was just saying, Duane Reade is our version of Walgreens up here in New York.
Oh, okay. And I've been in New York and I've seen
folks in America that don't know what I was saying.
That don't know. I want to play one of your songs, Implosion Model. Can you give us the story behind the music?
Yeah, absolutely. This song was very meaningful to us. It was, the concept around it was basically around the creation of the atomic bomb and what having an atomic bomb has meant for human civilization since it was created approximately 70 years ago. Mm-hmm. And just how that has changed the psyche of everyone on the planet to kind of know that there is a tool that our governments have to completely annihilate all life on Earth in the moment, like in basically within a few minutes.
Yeah.
And also, what was interesting to me was the creation of it. So the scientific community and the intellectual community and all these people that were not war people, they were scientists and thinkers and intellectuals, like really came together in a big way in the early 40s with the Manhattan Project to come and create the atomic bomb. Mm-hmm. And it's just very interesting to me how that was justified, how people like Einstein even were advocating to FDR to build the bomb to combat Nazism. And all these people were basically creating the most destructive thing the world has ever seen, because they were concerned that the Nazis basically were going to get the bomb first and destroy everyone. So I just thought that was really interesting. And it wasn't basically saying that the scientists were wrong to do that, but the ramifications today have been that we've been kind of living in this world where world wars have become kind of obsolete because all the major powers have atomic weapons and can annihilate everyone at the push of a button.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we kind of live with this understanding that apocalypse can happen at any moment when, one of our leaders has like a temper tantrum or something, right?
The irony in
seems
that
like
right
we're a little
now.
bit higher risk of that nowadays, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of the story, the concept, and then the song really took off. We made a video for it. It was our first single that we released as a band, and I think we like almost up to like 1 million views on YouTube. So the video really got shared quite a lot on YouTube and seen quite a lot on YouTube. It was just it was our first single, and it was pretty like well received. And we had Mike Riley, who mixed Marilyn Manson's Born Villain record, do the mix for us, just to tie it back to him again. And
wow.
Just excited to share it with your listeners.
Yeah, so it's definitely a deep song, like we say, deeper than music. And there you have the story, ladies and gentlemen. Matt Namer of, I'm sorry, I'm having a blank, but I'll get it. The FMs here on Deeper Than Music with Implosion Model on Deeper Than Music Radio.
This is Greg of Greg in Good Company, and you are listening to Deeper Than Music Radio.
Resonation backwards at 'em, shockwave patterns, perfect. has been solemnly proclaimed by the President. If successful, radioactive poisoning of the atmosphere and annihilation of any life on Earth has been told this is the rate of technical possibility.
Closure model. You're on Deep Into Music Radio with special guest Maddie Neighbor. And Matt, I like to apologize earlier. That the story behind the music was so deep, man. I kind of was sitting there thinking about it, so I couldn't remember your guys' name because, like, the story, I was just sitting there just thinking about it because I always thought, like, the irony was. With the whole thing with the atomic bomb is that we bombed Japan, and afterwards it's like, no, nobody else can do this. We need the police, the whole, and it's like, but we did a Nagasaki and Hiroshima, right? And now we're policing everybody. So I always thought that was ironic.
Yeah, and also, I mean, obviously it's like a different calculus because there weren't, tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of people that died, but like. Since then, we have exploded like, gosh, I don't even know the number, but like tons and tons and tons of atomic bombs, like all over the world. I mean, the Soviet Union did it a lot as well, but like, it's actually kind of messed up and astonishing the amount of atomic bombs that were exploded just as tests in the world. I think there've been like thousands of them like exploded. Like in remote areas, and some weird stuff has like happened as a result. A lot of people in like these South Pacific islands and stuff have gotten cancers and environments like obliterated and stuff. So
and there was
you're totally right. Like it is. I mean, obviously, no one wants any more atomic bombs to go off, but the United States is not necessarily in the highest like moral position to tell other people to not do it.
Yeah, and I'm trying to think. I think I was flying to Beijing, and I was watching the series about Chernobyl, and that's crazy. Like they have a series. I forget which network, but it's all about Chernobyl, and it's just like
on HBO.
Yeah.
That was a great series. I love that series. That was really cool.
So I wanted to ask the FMs. What was the genesis of the FMs? How did you as a group meet up, and how did that all take in shape?
Sure. Frankie and I were in a band together in high school, actually. Mm-hmm. We were in each other's first band. It's a band called The Violent Orange. And actually was kind of cool, like kind of stoner rock band at the time. And probably by the end of high school, we were actually like kind of good. At first, not so much. But we kind of didn't really collaborate on music for a bunch of years after that. And then got back together to do this project, and it really took off, and we started putting a lot of time and energy into it. And it's now like I'd say probably the musical project that both of us are like most proud of in our lives. And we rounded out the band with Lucas Leto on drums, who happened to be my neighbor. And we got super lucky with him. I mean, he's like a really professional, amazing drummer, like went to Berkeley and all that jazz. And Michael Butterly, who, we found like on Facebook through like a friend of a friend of a friend on Facebook. And this guy was like working with Michael, and he had turned out to be the perfect synth player for us. He's like amazing, classically trained pianist, but also like an Ableton master and synth master, and just like one of these people that's like a musical genius, got like perfect pitch and just totally like an astonishing musical genius. So yeah, we have a really great group of people in this band. I'm really lucky to get to play with all of them. And yeah, I mean, that's pretty much the genesis. We did our first show ever on a old ferry boat.
Wow.
Yeah, parked in the middle of Bushwick. And yeah, it was like kind of crazy. We've done a bunch of shows there still. We're actually doing a show there on Friday. So 2 days from now. And yeah, that's been the genesis, and so much has happened, since we started.
I wanted to ask, which show is the you guys have a song placed and on a show? What's the show and what's the song?
Yeah, so it's actually a movie on Showtime. Mm-hmm. It was a Showtime movie called Fluidity, and the movie is about millennials and just like kind of contemporary take on relationships and sex and gender and sexual orientation and in today's climate. And yeah, we were really lucky to get to work with director Linda Yellen on that project. And also Patrick Seymour, who's the musical director from the Eurythmics, was on that one as well. And we got to perform our song, Change Your Men Up, in the movie, actually. So the song wasn't just like part of the soundtrack of the movie, but we actually as a band are performing in a club in the movie, like towards the end of the movie, actually.
Oh, that's
and I
pretty
believe
awesome.
It's still, yeah, thanks. And I think it's still streaming on Showtime, like on Showtime on demand.
Okay.
In the movie section, it's like a feature length film, and yeah, it's called Fluidity.
Fluidity.
So check that out.
Fluidity on Showtime.
Yeah.
And also the song The Implosion, it has like, I could see that being placed in the 80s movie. It has that 80s movie, that 80s sound, right? The synth sound. So a movie directed with the Eurythmics is involved. That's pretty cool because Eurythmics was big in the 80s. So what I want to do now is, since you talked about Change Your Man Up, let's go ahead and showcase that song. Can you give us the story of Change Your Man Up?
Absolutely, yeah. Change Your Men Up is an anti-patriarchy anthem, basically. It's a call for people who identify as men to kind of take a look at themselves in the mirror and just examine their place in society, examine how they treat people of other genders, and basically just to kind of have a call to change it up, just to not take for granted your own privilege and your own basically your own status in the world and your own and what you're doing about it. So yeah, I'm happy to share this song with your listeners, and I hope they enjoy.
And I appreciate the fact that your music it forces people to think, right? It may shake them up a little bit, but like, good music emotes, like it emotes. It brings out emotion. So I appreciate that about you and your band. So ladies and gentlemen,
thank you.
Special guest Maddie Namer of the FMs, Change Your Men Up here on Deeper Than Music Radio.
Hey, this is Ella Reed, and you're listening to Deeper Than Music Radio.
Change your man.
gentlemen, the FMs, Change Your Men Up, Deeper Than Music Radio, another great song here, and it's also featured with the FMs on the Showtime movie Fluidity. Go check that out. Check it out. So, Maddie.
Yeah.
Question. In your music career, what has been your biggest challenge?
Oof. Like, everything about having a music career is a challenge.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Oh, man. I think that somebody asked me recently, like, what advice I would give to, like, musicians starting out in their career. And I think I'll kind of, like, answer that because I think it's kind of relevant. Mm-hmm. And basically, like, what I said was to try not to, like, go at it alone. The people that you end up working with and that you have around you is really everything. In, like, I think especially in the music industry, like, it's really important to have really great people to work with. And the more that you can surround yourself with, like, a really great team of people, whether it's like you have a friend that you're going to, like, go co-work with, working on trying to, like, promote your band, like, one day, and they're going to promote their band one day. But I think just, like, working together as a team to do stuff is really important. And I think that over the past, like, couple years, as we've, like, had the FMs going, I think I've tried to, like, do a little bit too much myself.
Yeah.
So, I mean, challenges, there's so many challenges. You know, it's tough to kind of, like, whenever you want to get to the next level, so to speak, like, as a band, whether it's, like, whatever the next level for you is, whether it's, like, playing at a bigger venue, whether it's, like, being in a bigger magazine, like, whatever it is, it always just feels like a catch-22, where, like, the magazine will be like, well, we don't want to feature you until you, like, have X, Y, and Z. And then, you know, X, Y, and Z is like, well, you weren't in a big magazine. Like, so it's always like, there's always, like, a kind of catch-22 with stuff in the music industry. Yeah. And it's really hard to, like, get yourself to the next level in a way. Mm-hmm. I'm particularly excited right now about our second album, which is almost done. We've been working on it for, like, really even since before the first one came out. We've been working on it. Mm-hmm. And the first one came out in summer of 2017. And, like, we've been working on this project for 2.5 years, spent, like, thousands of hours on it. I mean, I've just been, like, kind of a bit OCD, like, perfectionist on it.
So
but I'm really proud of and yeah.
No, I was gonna say, you brought up a good point, like, keeping your core and people that support you. As with all my great interviews, time just flies by. So we have 5 minutes. I want to, before we play the last song, I want to ask you 2 questions.
Yeah.
My first question is, what does music mean to you? And then my second is pretty much shameless promotion. Is like, where can people, because after this interview and people that haven't heard of you, they're probably going to be, hey, where can I hear the FMs? Shameless promotion. Where you are, where can we find you? And what's in the future for the FMs?
So, what does music mean to me? Music is mysterious. I don't think that you can answer what it means so easily, right? It is a language. Mm-hmm. It's its own language. It's its own way of forming emotional connections with people. It's its own therapy to create music. it's its own medium for communicating messages. So, yeah, I think what music means to me is a lot of different things. And that's pretty one of the magical things about music, is that it is mysterious. It is a language in itself. It is a method of communicating a message. I think to create music for me is very therapeutic. So music can be therapy as well. Mm-hmm. And I think it's a thing that connects with a part of us that nothing else can connect with a part of us in that way, right? Music can make us feel a particular way that nothing else can make us feel like that. Mm-hmm. So it's just really its own special, unique thing. You can't really compare it to like anything else that exists in our universe.
Yeah.
And I think that's partially why, originally said it was so mysterious, because we don't really have an answer for it. It's like love or something, like you can't define it.
Definitely true. And where we got 2 minutes, 57 seconds, and we'll close out with,
shameless promotion time.
Eyes Are
right?
Suffering, yeah. So where can we find you?
So our website is thefmsmusic.com. You can go to YouTube to check out our videos. We actually just released a video for Change Your Men Up, the track that your listeners just heard, at youtube.com/thefms. So that's FMS, the FMS. And we're also on Instagram at the FMs. We're on Facebook at facebook.com/the FMs music. And we're on all your favorite listening platforms. So if you listen to Spotify, we're the FMs on Spotify. You can find us there. Or any of the other music platforms, basically, you can hear us on. We're on SoundCloud, Bandcamp. Everything. So go ahead and check us out if you like what you heard tonight.
And
hope to see you at one of our shows one day.
Yeah, man. I'm in the New York area, so I'll definitely give you guys a ring when I'm out in the area to catch out and see where you guys are performing. So
yeah, definitely. Please do.
Closing out with Eyes Are Suffering. Quick description of the song, the story behind the song.
Yeah, so this one was a single that we released last year, and it's really pretty dark one. It's a pretty angry one. This one was basically an anthem against ignorance. So it's kind of a call for people to wake up. For people to stop being apathetic and to kind of stop using ignorance as an excuse. There's such thing as willful ignorance. And I think it's in a sense telling people that you kind of have to take a little bit of responsibility for your own ignorance sometimes. So that was kind of the message of the song, and hope everyone enjoys.
So Maddie Namer, the FMs, closing out with Eyes Are Suffering here on Deeper Than Music Radio.
Black and